Yep. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Can everybody on Zoom hear me okay? I think Ian already, Tara, thank you for giving me the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Okay, so Steve is here. We're trying to play a couple of videos. So give us just a few minutes to try to figure this out. We'll get started shortly.
So while you are figuring that out, I can just go ahead and
Okay, Steve's gonna go ahead and get started.
yeah. So we have some technical things while people try to figure out how to I brought some video clips to make it more fun and to make Samsara more fun. And of course it's more complicated because everything in Samsara is extremely complicated. So getting access to the videos is what they're working on now. So this is the second class in the module on Samsara and Nirvana. And if you may remember last time, we talked about how we always start this by setting our intention. And that's what we're going to do in a minute with the meditation. Because how you go into anything, whether it's the gym or a class or meditation, is really sets the tone for what you can reap from it. And so even if your intention is, at this point kind of small, like you're curious, or you want to check this out, or you want to relieve some personal stress, it's great. Start with that. So really start right now kind of trying to generate your intention. Because then as you even achieve an intention about something that might seem as small as just relaxing more or having more understanding, as you achieve that goal, people around you will benefit. You'll be calmer, wiser, you'll react differently to things. Don't underestimate the power of even a small wish. But then like that is a way to amplify your intention, to make it as big, to be including yourself, not forgetting yourself, but for including yourself in this greater wish to understand samsara so that you can liberate yourself and others from it. And so then as you set this intention, we're going to move into a meditation. And so just check your posture, making sure your spine, that column that's so important, is in a relaxed and yet balanced position. So your chin is a little tucked so that the crown of your head is, you're being pulled up by the crown of your head. Make sure your arms are, if you either have the hand mudra of meditation or your hands up on your legs so that you're not collapsed on your breathing. Your eyes are either gently open or closed. Your tongue at the back of your teeth. And then first just check in with your body. You don't want to leave your body, just check in with it. Where is there any dis-ease, uncomfortableness, fullness, neutralness? Just check in all areas of your body. And also your mind. Are you kind of racing around from Monday? Do you have fatigue or excitement? Where are you? And I'm going to lead you through the first of the 9-round breathing meditation. So we'll go through one and then you can do 2 on your own. So if you're Buddhist, then imagine like a Buddha or the Buddhas in front of you, emanating this clear crystal light that you're going to inhale. And if that doesn't work for you, just imagine, clear, perfect energy in front of you. And then you take a finger and close your left nostril and inhale with your right nostril. All this clear energy, imagine it just filling every cell in your body. And then you close your right nostril and exhale. And then you're imagining the exhale of all the things that you want to get rid of that are connected with the anger that you carry. Imagine that's exhaled through black smoke to the forest reaches and out of this world. And then switch back and inhale, pure, clean, crystal energy, purifying you of any residue of anger. And then you're exhaling all the negative results of anger. And then one more time. So you'll inhale through the right nostril, pure, clear energy, exhaling dark smoke of anger out. And now you'll inhale through the left nostril, closing the right, and you're inhaling pure, clear energy and exhaling in the form of smoke, attachment, all the stickiness of holding on to things that you want. And then again, inhale through the left nostril, purifying every single cell in your body, and exhaling through the right nostril, all the results, complications, pain of attachment. It completely leaves you. And then one more time, inhaling through the left, exhaling through the right. And then the last round of 3 is with both nostrils. So now inhaling pure, clear wisdom energy, exhaling ignorance, mistakes, mistaken view. Then again, inhaling. So do that 3 times. Exhaling ignorance, the way that we see things incorrectly, as though they exist exactly as we think they do, getting us into trouble over and over again. Okay, so that's one full round. And now do 2 more. Again, breathing first through your right nostril, exhaling through your left. So that's anger. Then the second one is the opposite. Inhaling through your left, exhaling attachment. And the final one is with both nostrils. So do 2 more rounds of that on your own. And if you get confused, just inhale and exhale through both nostrils. And then slowly open your eyes. And we're going to read the four measurables one time and just pause a little bit between each stanza. So doing the four measurables is a great way to also amp up your intention. And Lisa's, you can say it all together. We're going to pause between each stanza. You can think about it a little bit. And we'll do this one time.
For those in the Kadampa, it's page 34 in the gold prayer book. Just a second, get it shared for everyone else.
Yeah.
May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment of friends or hatred of enemies.
Okay. So last week we talked a little bit about what Samsara and Nirvana are. I'll do just kind of a brief little review. And feel free to jump in and ask me questions or elaborate. So we talked about, I used the metaphor of like a thorn in your hand, how you can still use your other hand. You might have days where you don't really notice that thorn, the thorn being samsara. How sometimes it's kind of easy to forget it. And how what's ironic and wonderful about samsara is there's lots of thorns that you could use to get that thorn out. How a thorn could be both the problem in your hand and the thing that liberates you from the problem in your hand. And so it's not so much about, like, my view earlier was like, okay, I'm ready to leave all of this. And instead of like taking advantage of this, which is actually where liberation lies. So I love this example that Geshe-la gives of a winter coat being the exact thing that can liberate you from cold in the winter. In the summer, it's the thing that brings you suffering. In that moment of cold, or in the moment of any problems, all the problems that we're talking about, lies the liberation from that problem. So it's not that we want to just escape, say, our anger, but we want to really be like scientists and really understand the nature of reality and the nature of ourselves, so that as we watch these things arising, if we can catch them in a certain time, that's when we can apply the antidotes that we talked about last week. That's when you can find the other thorn to get out this thorn. So it's as we see our anger or impatience or whatever arising that we can apply antidotes to it and actually, so it's in some ways it's like, remember I told you how excited I was to go and try to practice patience after that weekend teaching with Geshe-la. It's like, oh, I can't wait to try this. That's the kind of energy we want to generate, because then we will be able to be mindful enough to notice when something's arising and notice this is the moment that I can actually be liberated from it. When everything is good, I'm not really practicing patience. Some people might say, oh, you're so patient in that situation. I'm like, really? I didn't feel stressed out, so I wasn't really patient. I'm used to that situation. This other situation, that's a whole different story. So we talked about that. And and that how nirvana is not necessarily a realm. We're going to hear a little bit more about that on the video, but it's a state. It's a mind state, right? It's this mind state that's liberated from these thorns. The thorns can't even penetrate you anymore because you're in this completely different state. So you're not leaving for another realm, but you have a completely different view. It's a completely different view. And nirvana really means kind of the liberation of yourself from suffering. And so we talked about, also, I use a ton of analogies. So, you're in a prison and you finally, you're just fed up, and you're fed up with like just getting the better cell, because we can rearrange our samsaric cell and it looks really pretty good. And we forget that, oh, right, I'm in prison. But prisoners don't usually have to generate the wish to get out. They pretty much wake up every day wishing that they weren't there. But we have to kind of generate and remind ourselves that even though there's all these amazing things, there is something that doesn't hold all the suffering in this prison. And so nirvana is akin to my finding a way out of that prison. Complete enlightenment is holding the door open for everybody else, generating that kind of much larger wish and ability to liberate others. But first you have to figure out how to get out of the prison. Okay. And we talked about renunciation. We talked about how it really means, the definition I like a lot is it's not going away from the world, because that's what we think of when we think of a renunciant, as somebody in a cave, they've gone away from the world. It's actually knowing that the world goes away, and that we then treat everything differently once we know that the world goes away, meaning that everything is so impermanent. There's nothing to really rest on steady and stable except the path out of this world, out of this suffering. All right, so any questions or anything left over from last week before we watch a movie? Okay, we're just going to watch a couple of clips. So I wanted to use this one because I think it's such a great example. The whole Buddhist wheel of life, some of you have seen, some of you may have studied it. So it's such a great way to enter into this conversation about samsara and what keeps us spinning through it. And so we're just going to play, I think I wrote in like 2 minutes, or I'll give you the high sign and it just is a really nice way to give me a break from talking and you something fun to watch. And the rest of it we can watch another time. Yeah. So you want to make it a little bigger? Oh, wait. Well. Oh, yeah, that's. Oh, wait. Well.
It might be your first reaction when something happens with friends or family or work. The chances are it's not you. It's the world you were born into. A world whose terms and conditions you never signed up to. It might be your first reaction when something happens with friends or family or work. The chances are it's not you. It's the world you were born into. A world whose terms and conditions you never signed up to. It might be your first reaction when something happens with friends or family or work. The chances are it's not you. It's the world you were born into. A world whose terms and conditions you never signed up to. Your first reaction when something happens with friends or family or work. The chances are it's not you. It's the world you were born into. A world whose terms and conditions you never signed up to.
Both of you have it going.
Yeah, just hold it.
He's going to take it.
It's the world you were born into. A world whose terms and conditions you never signed up to.
Both of you have it going.
Yeah, just hold it.
It's duality.
It's the world you were born into. A world whose terms and conditions you never signed up to.
Both of you have it going.
Yeah, just hold it.
It's duality.
The world you were born into. A world whose terms and conditions you never signed up for.
Both of you have it going.
Happens with friends or partners who work.
Duality.
The world you were born into. A world whose terms and conditions you never signed up for.
The audio isn't working. I don't hear anything. Can anyone hear anything?
What?
From the video?
Not hearing anything on Zoom.
Yeah. Me too. No noise. No voice.
We normally don't have problems playing.
That's okay.
Oh, no.
You can hear me now? Okay,
Because they're from the FP website.
right. Okay. All right. All right. Let me back way up again and start over. I was explaining how what you would have been seeing if the video worked was a nice little film clip about the wheel that Buddhists use to really describe samsara and why we're stuck in this endless cycle. And it's a really great way of teaching it and talking about it and looking at it. And at the very center of the wheel are the three poisons that we talked about last week, which are represented by three different animals. So it starts off with a snake, which is anger, and all the problems that anger creates, all the negative karma that's spinning this wheel, those three poisons and the results of these three poisons that we're all carrying around just keeps this wheel spinning. And so that's at the center of it. So I wanted to start with this really nicely done 3-minute video about that. And then I was saying that the other video I have is Robert Thurman talking a little bit more about what is anger. And he differentiates between frustration, the things that start to arise inside of us when we know we're going to get angry, and anger really being when we lose it, he said, like when we flip our lid, when we're out of control and then say things or do things and and cause problems because of that and hurt ourselves and other people and have a lot of regret. And that it's if we can start to notice, like, oh, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling impatient, or I'm feeling whatever it is that starts to give rise. And so if we can be really skillful about studying ourselves, we're all different. So what are some of the conditions that come together that start that wheel going for you, for your own anger? But so then the results of that kind of, when we say we lose it, I lost it. I lost my mind, or I flipped my lid. But there's also other ways besides that just classic anger that people really hurt each other with this kind of bottled rage. So I know someone whose mother used to shout at her that she hated her when she was angry. So then this person grew up to have this vow that she would never yell at her kids. So instead, she would just give them the silent treatment for a long time, which also caused a lot of problems. So it was this kind of silent rage. So anyway, it's not one size fits all, in other words. So really study yourself, know what it is for you. And if you can, then identify like, okay, this is like I told you, like when my dog woke me up, that was a really good way to practice, because I knew if I could catch this early enough, I wasn't going to do anything to hurt her, but I would lose my mind and then I would be up all night. So, when she came to wake me up, because some nights she would wake me up like 4 times, right? So I identified that as a pretty easy one to work with. Like I can watch what's happening in my mind and catch it and apply all the antidotes that we talked about last time. Okay, so then the second poison in that wheel. So there's a snake, and then there's this rooster who represents attachment, this pride, and everything that pride wants, then helps us, it creates this energy where we kind of cling to what we want. So we hold on to things too long. It's that clinging. It's that, I think attachment sometimes has some problems with that word, but it's just the grasping after things that causes problems and feeds into anger and da 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 da. And then the third animal in that wheel is the pig, which represents ignorance, which is unfortunate because pigs are really smart. But we get it. We get the symbolism. And so what is ignorance? What is ignorance? It's in this scenario, it's defined more as, wrong view. So we believe that things are as we see them. Things are in this fixed way, and that, what I want is important. What I want is right. So because what we're really asking ourselves is, how do all 3 of these feed into each other? Because in the diagram, they all have each other's tail in their mouths, right? And they're spinning in the middle of this hub. And so can we be aware of our own ignorance? Is that an oxymoron? How can we start to bust up our own ignorance? Where are we ignorant? Given that definition, it's really like, I think some of it's like understanding that my view may be incorrect. Just because I think this way, say at my job, that things should be set up this way. If I just completely believe my view is the view, the right view, then this is going to cause some problems. Instead of trying to understand, well, that is a view, maybe some validity to it, but there's not one size fits all. And so understanding that things are relative, that's where that all comes in. That's the opposite of ignorance, is wisdom. So what is the wise view? So then really studying wisdom and the way that things exist relative to each other is the antidote to that. All right, so any solution with the film, or we're just going to wait till next week? Okay. Hopefully we can figure it out by then, because I know I've played videos and it seems like there's something that, has to be shut off so that it doesn't have that reverb. Okay. All right.
Figure it out.
We'll figure it out. That means I have to talk more. So I'm going to get you all to do some talking and thinking. So let's do, so anyway, any questions about those 3 poisons? We talked a little bit last week about the 6 delusions. Well, the delusions are just leaves and branches off of these 3 main poisons, right? So all of these problems come off of these things that are just spinning inside of us. And these 3 things are part of that first noble truth of suffering. So then that second noble truth is that there's a cause for these things. And so we have these tendencies, we've been carrying these habits for lifetimes and lifetimes, which is, I know, Venerable Robina talks about how she was just born angry. She just came into this world, with this certain energy. That's not an accident. So other people are born, with a lot of talent in, say, playing the piano. So we're carrying certain habits, and then what's really, really challenging is to start to try to bust up those habits, even by just dropping some questions into the mix, just deciding to pay attention to them, to be mindful of our own mind states is a huge step in the right direction. So I want you to get into a comfortable position, get back into a kind of a meditative posture and mind state, and take several deep breaths. And reminding ourselves that these three poisons actually hold the keys to our liberation. So take one that is something you'd like to take a deeper look at. So the anger, attachment, that kind of grasping and holding, or wrong view. And think about how this shows up in your life. You can think about some extreme ways that it shows up or has shown up. Where in your body do you feel it when it shows up? If there's a body sensation attached to it, where does it usually arise? And what thoughts go with it? What thoughts come in like your best friend convincing you that you're right? And then what are some of the results, the negative results of this mind state that you're aware of? And then even imagine some that you're not aware of, some ripple effects that you might not be aware of, but could foresee. And now take one instance or one situation that you could practice with, something easy, not the hardest one, something akin to the one I said with my dog. A situation where there's the potential for you to tip over into that negative mind state, but also easy enough for you to practice with it. It could be driving. I know when I get in the car and I'm late, this is what usually happens. These are the thoughts I usually have. So find something like that, and I want you to imagine yourself in that scenario with mindfulness and how you would work with your thoughts with your breath, with some of the antidotes that we talked about, which are really just the opposite of each of those poisons. How could you be more generous, more patient, more wise? More compassionate? What antidote could you apply? What could you do to help yourself not swallow the feeling, not deny it, but expand around it? It's as though these other parts of ourselves think they have a job to do, think they're protecting us, they think they're working for us. Is there any way that we could have compassion for those other parts of ourselves? We can thank that part of ourselves that thinks it needs to go to this extreme length to hold on or to fight the fight. And instead, we can ask it to just back up a little bit so that our wiser self can be the one at the one with the microphone, or the one at the driver's seat. Then we're not just denying it, we're actually thanking it, working with it. Just asking it to soften up a little bit so we can hear other voices. Okay, and then open your eyes. And I'm going to ask, I want people to get into like groups of 3. Perfect. There's 2 groups of 3, and just share anything that you would like about that experience with one another. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It could be like 2 groups of 4, or 2 groups of 3 and 1 group of 2. There. All right, thank you. So just move and introduce yourselves, and then however much you want to share. We learn a lot from hearing other people's experiences.
Okay, so those of you on Zoom, you'll be going out to different rooms.
How many rooms did you set up? You got 2. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Those 2 people, are they in their own room? Oh, okay. Oh. Oh, no, that's okay. Of course, according to Luna, it's probably silent. Oh, she says she goes on there. Yeah, well, we're talking about These two guys, no. Was somebody in a room all by themselves? No. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's up to, right. It's also hard on too. Okay, so try to take a minute to wrap up your conversation. Okay, you could bring them back or just, when you close it, it gives them a minute. So, yeah. See, it's kind of like on Zoom, when everybody has a minute to like wrap up, or else they just get bounced back into the big room. So we think we can show the video, which is why I brought you all back sooner. But anything anybody want to share while we're waiting for the Zoom people to come back? Was that helpful to talk? Sometimes people are like, "Well, I don't want to get it." I mean, you don't have to, you know. But it's always, to me, interesting to hear other people's, what's working for other people or what they're going to try. And I really encourage you to think of one that you want to give a try. I know that once I try to repeat these things, but like I was waiting for my mother in an airport And this is a long time ago. And it was summer, it was hot, it was really crowded, it was Newark Airport. And I was starting to get really ticked off at everybody that came off the plane that wasn't her. I was like, I don't know, I was in a bad mood. And then I saw, oh, this is exactly the moment to try something. And so, because I wasn't really mad, I was just annoyed. I was in that annoyed, frustrated state. And so I decided every person that comes off the plane, I'm going to try to see in that special way. Like if that was my favorite cousin or my, whoever, my special person, everything about them would be so cute. It would be so cute. It wouldn't be like a disappointment. I wouldn't have any kind of judgment about anything about them, except I'd be so happy to see them. So I started to do that, and it changed everything. I mean, everything in the airport suddenly started to look amazing to me. And I couldn't believe how, with not that much effort, I went from this state of whatever frustration I was in to this very blissed out place. And I know I've heard Thich Nhat Hanh say something like, everybody wants to do these miraculous things. How about changing your mood? That's also a miracle. So think of something like that and what antidote you want to apply. Okay, I think everybody's back. We're going to try to show the video of Robert Thurman talking about anger. And if it doesn't work, we'll just wait till next week. Yeah, take 2. Do you want me to turn this off? I will.
The anger that they say is one of the 7 deadly sins, and therefore really quite bad, is the one that sweeps you off your normal, rational self-control, and you become possessed by it. And then you do destructive things. And you are not effective in dealing with the situation from the moralist point of view. And Buddhist moralists would absolutely agree. The locus classicus of it is of course, in all Abhidharma, but in Mahayana literature, it's Shantideva's writing. And there he gives a very good analysis of it. And therefore, in English, I think when we say, what is anger, and I probably in other European languages, it is probably the degree of anger where you lose self-control and you blow up, as we say. And Shantideva's analysis of it is, you at first are frustrated. When you see something happening you don't think should be happening, when something you think should be happening, you see it being prevented or blocked from being happening, you then feel frustrated. And as that frustration builds up, it becomes more and more painful to you. And then anger in the form of your own mind, in the voice of your own inner monologue, your own inner identity speaking, comes to you and says, well, you can't do anything about that because you're too weak. But if you use me and blow up and get all overheated, you'll be stronger. And you will be able to rectify the situation, either make the good thing happen or prevent the bad thing from happening. And then you blow up, and then you go after whatever it is. And however, the problem is that in some cases it may actually, to some degree, be helpful, like when you run away from something, you get an adrenaline charge, and you leap away from something out of fear, But unfortunately, out of anger, where you go crashing into a situation, when you're not under any kind of control, there are studies today that say you lose 85% of your good judgment. And Shantideva also agrees, you become the tool of your anger. Your body and mind and speech become tools of your anger. And anger dominates you. Anger is like the demon that tells them what to do. You say things that you don't mean. You'll do physical things and hurt people that you didn't want to. You lose control. You become the tool of your anger, your body, speech, and mind. You hit people, you hurt people, you kill people, you hurt yourself, maybe physically. You do something, bang your head on the wall. You angrily drive your car into something and get killed yourself, or you kill someone else or hurt them badly. You break things that you value. You feel regretful afterwards. And verbally, you'll say things you don't mean, and people be deeply hurt, and you feel badly afterwards. And mentally, you have hostile mind, and you destroy something or someone in your mind. And all of these things have very negative results for you, as well as for the situation. They don't really have good results. So in a way, from Buddhist point of view, it never helps. It's always destructive. However, if you want to define anger as just a kind of heat of vigor, strong energy that you feel when you see something wrong and you want to fix it, or you protest, and you see something right and you eliminate opposition to that. There can be like a kind of righteous, strong feelings about ethics or to help another being or something. This won't do, this won't stand, where you still very able to make judgments. You can even be reserved about flipping out, And that we can make that positive. That can be positive determination. That can be willpower, We can say that we're in charge of it. So the thing there is to do it quickly. And Shantideva has a beautiful thing. He says, intervene in the situation while you're still cheerful. Your good cheer is the source of your positive actions. So don't let it be eaten away by frustration. When you start being frustrated, do something about it. If there's nothing you can do about it, get away from the situation. It doesn't do any good to blow up and add being really angry and freaked out and bitter and so forth to being impotent in a situation. Just go and leave the situation. So he gives clues like that. So it doesn't just amount to suppressing your anger. Of course, the ultimate way of overcoming anger is where you don't feel angry because you feel sorry for the people who are harmful to you or who would cause you anger. So that you feel you might want to resist them and you might be forceful, but you will never be angry because you're not trying to eradicate them from the universe. You're just trying to stop them doing their stupid thing. And you somehow feel that there is some element to them that is more than that anger of theirs. The one thing in Shantideva's thing that you're allowed to be angry with is anger itself. So when you're angry with anger, then your absolute fury turns back on absolute fury. Then you only act relatively in another sense, because you sort of destroy the fury that would make you act non-relationally. And therefore, the people who are most violent and terrible when they get angry are those who have left intact the sense of absolute identity. So then when their inner voice says, you got to get that person, you can't be in the same world with them, like the 6-shooter, the draw, like this town's not big enough for the both of us sort of routine. Then those are the people who, it's really a derivative of the self-absolutizing habit pattern, the identity habit that I call.
So I hope that was helpful. I like how he really gets into all the different levels of anger and talks about not suppressing it. And the idea of being angry at anger. I don't know if anybody's seen the movie A Beautiful Mind, yeah. So I just love that. To me, it's such a Dharma movie because this is a movie based on Graham Nash's life, and he was, brilliant mathematician, but he also had, psychosis, and he saw things, and he suddenly realizes, at least in the film, because people are trying to convince him that he's having these delusions. And he sees all these conspiracies, he's just, in this state. And he doesn't believe that they're not real because they're very real to him, as real as, us sitting here. And then because he's such a genius, I think he found a way to break through that, which he realizes that the things he saw, like there was a man and a little girl, he saw them regularly and they would talk to him and convince him of things. And he finally realized that they never aged. That can't be right. Maybe they are a delusion if they never get older. And I've heard Geshe talk about that's the way our mind is with these poisons. This mind that comes and convinces you that you have a right to do this or that, or you should get that, or there's not enough room for the two of us, that mind never gets old. And so one way is like in the movie, John Nash is arguing back against those visions he has and telling them that they're not helping him, to just get away from him. He's not going to pay any attention to them. And, they never go away in the movie, but they do take further and further steps back. And he doesn't have to contend with them as much. So they give him some peace. So that's one way. Another way we talked about last week and a little bit this week is, to have compassion for them. You don't want to necessarily listen to these things in your mind, but to be able to say something like, I know if you see it as another part of yourself, I know you're upset. I know you're frustrated. It makes sense. Of course you're frustrated. Of course, whatever, like, of course you want your mother to come off of the plane. Of course, it's hot. And then you give yourself a little bit of a break that way, and you don't feel, at least for me, I don't feel so under the influence of it. I feel more like I am the parent of that voice in my head, and I can calm it down, ask it to just step back here, and then I can see things differently. So play around this week about what helps you with that one that you're going to practice with, because that's the homework for next week. And we're going to end pretty soon because I'm fighting some kind of bug. I've been winning. I've been winning all week. So let's end by doing some Tonglen on ourself. So I want you to imagine that part of you that you're working with, whether it's the angry voice or the voice of, I want it this way, or the voice of seeing everything as fixed, whatever way that your ignorance shows up. That's what Robert Thurman there at the end was talking about, this way of seeing the self, right? So whatever it is that you're going to work on, whatever situation that brings this voice even louder in your head, imagine that part of you sitting in front of you. If that's hard, then just imagine it as energy, but see that part of you, that scenario, whatever, in front of you. And so those of you who've done Tonglen know that, we always start with ourselves. So that's what we're going to do in this exercise, is we're just going to imagine having compassion for that part of ourselves and inhaling all the negative energy that comes off of that scenario. Let's just say it's us when we lose our cool. Having compassion for that part of ourselves. And as we inhale, we're going to inhale all the negative energy that part of us carries, that's weighing that part down, that frustration, that understandable fatigue and anger. We're inhaling all of it in the form of black smoke, and we're letting that just purify us. As it moves through us, it's cleaning us. And then we exhale all the perfect, pure energy to that part of ourselves that gets angry, for example. So just do that several times now for a few minutes, inhaling the negativities, the suffering of that part of yourself. That's what we're doing. Inhaling all of that and letting that be like a cleansing of ourselves, letting all that power of that just purify us, just completely cleanse us so that we're crystal clear energy that we then exhale to that other part of ourselves. One more breath. One more Tonglen breath. And then think of all the positive energy you have created by coming to this class tonight, by thinking on these topics, by sharing your experiences, listening to others. You've created really positive energy in this effort. So now you dedicate it to the highest result that you can think of. That you find your way out of this samsaric prison and have generated the wish to hold the door open for all of the rest of us. And then as a way to even amplify our dedication, we're going to read Shantideva's prayer together as a closing, and it'll be up on the screen or wherever soon. So this prayer, you heard Robert Thurman talking about Shantideva. So this prayer, he was making these highest wishes for all beings. And remember, you're included. Remember, when you're saying this, you're including yourself.
For those of you in the Kadampa, it's page 246 in the Gold Prayer Book, page 246. For those of you in the Kadampa, it's page 246 in the Gold Prayer Book, page 246.
That's really cool.
For those of you in the Kadampa, it's page 246 in the Gold Prayer
It's
Book.
that streaming
page
thing.
246.
That's really cool. The karmic results. Our tech people here are getting a workout tonight. Our tech people here are getting a workout tonight. Our tech people here are getting a workout tonight. I heard you. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. I think we can add a line to Shantideva's prayer with something with technology. All beings.
Computer error, guys. Right.
Thank you. Okay.
Say this with meaning tonight. May all beings everywhere, plagued by
Suffering,
body
in
and
mind,
attain
an ocean of
happiness, joy by virtue of my merits. May
and
no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, the mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies
are worn with toil,
be
stored on finding repose.
May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are, may these never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, those bound be free. May the powerless find power And may people think of that
benefiting each other.
for as long as
Space
space
and
remains,
dreams,
for
as long as sentient beings remain.
until
Till
then may I
too
too remain to
dispel
dispel
the
the miseries of the world.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience.
Yes.
And thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody in Zoom land and YouTube. And we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you again for your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.